Valheim has seemingly come out of nowhere, and at the time of recording this, it has already sold 2 million copies on Steam. And when I first saw the trailer for Valheim, I honestly thought it looked like a PS1 game. And when my brother and friends started playing it, I really didn't believe how much fun they said it was, but I'm glad to be proven such a stupid boy. This is the best survival game I have ever played, and it's only in early access. I am absolutely addicted, and honestly, I'm not even really a big fan of survival games. The only one that I've really cared about is Minecraft. Yes, I know. I actually usually despise survival games, I'm not even gonna lie. But something about this game is just different. It does so many things right and doesn't have those tedious elements of other survival games. Like for example, if you have to repair something, it's free. You just go to the workbench, you click the repair button, you don't use any materials or anything. Building requires minimal resources, and your character is never actually gonna go hungry. You just eat food for buffs. So let's get into the basics of this game. It's about survival and character progression. So when you create your character and drop into the randomly generated world, you're going to be naked and afraid. You can only craft a few things at the start using wood and stone, and the best thing to do is create a home base as soon as possible. Also, do not be like me and cut down a tree and let it fall on top of you. It will fucking kill you. And I mean, from here the game follows your basic survival systems. You're going to be exploring the world, getting new crafting recipes, and getting new resources and fighting new enemies. Your main mode of progression, however, is going to be taking down the 5 bosses within the world. And these bosses kind of act as a test to see if you have what it takes to keep advancing. So for an example, the first boss, Eikthyr, has to be defeated so you can get his antler, which allows you to make a pickaxe and go into the next zone to collect ore. And just real quick, the lore for why you're here in this world is that Valheim is the 10th Norse world, and these bosses are Odin's rivals that have been locked away in purgatory, and it's your job to keep them in line. You're gonna have to give them little spankings to let them know who's boss around here. Defeating these bosses will also give you some of their power that you can activate for a short amount of time to get a special bonus. For example, Eikthyr, you activate his power, it gives you 5 minutes of running and jumping using only half stamina. So around the time of making this video, I have around 35 hours of game time, and I think I finally understand what makes this game so good. At its core, this is a very simple game, and that is okay. Everything works together so well. You're always gonna have something to do, whether it's base building, fighting, or resource gathering. It's just pure simple fun because everything works. I mean, this is an early access game and everything works this well. Holy moly, I can't even imagine what it's going to be like when it's actually released. The bones of this game are extremely strong. The immersion into this world begins as soon as you drop in, and as you gear your character and progress, Valheim becomes more and more like a home rather than a dangerous, mysterious land. Gearing your character is also extremely impactful. Not only will you look cooler, but the increases in strength are really noticeable. Enemies you once struggled with will be killed in a single blow, and you'll be allowed to take on stronger and stronger monsters. And just because I said the game was simple doesn't mean that it lacks any depth. And a good example of that is the combat system. When you first start the game, the combat seems very shallow. You really don't know what you're doing, but then you progress, you learn that you can make different weapons. You can make a spear that you can throw, you can make a bow, you can make a sword, you can make a shield, and there's other elements as well. Like if you hit an enemy in a combo of attacks or perfectly time your block, you stagger them and they become extremely vulnerable to your next attack and take big damage. I mean, heck, you can even roll around if you want to, but I rarely do that. It's also up to you with how you approach the enemies. I mean, if you're fighting a skeleton, your spear is not going to work as well because it does piercing damage. You have to bring out the mace or the club to crack those skulls. If I'm fighting a troll, I'm too much of a wuss to get close to it to hit it with my axe. I basically only use a bow and arrow and kite it around. The combat makes you think rather than just mindlessly swinging your weapon around. As for the survival elements, it's almost perfectly done. The world isn't here to hurt you, it's actually here to help you. Like I said earlier, your guy is never actually going to starve. You just eat to get a health and stamina buff. You can buff your guy by being warm and cozy, and if you're wet and cold, the fix is as easy as building a fire and a roof. The crafting menus in this game do look a little dated, but they're easy to read and understand. And as long as you have the supplies, you can continually upgrade your gear to higher tier levels to make it stronger. There's also a skill systems for almost everything you do, from running to jumping, swinging an axe, cutting down trees.
All that will level up and make you more proficient. And just like in real life, if you die, you lose your proficiency in some of these skills. And I will say this is the harshest punishment in this game. It feels a little too harsh because when you die, you're gonna lose a lot of points in some of these skills. But thankfully, when you do die, your stuff drops in a little totem pole and is marked on the map. But you're back to being naked and afraid, so you have to run back and be careful. You do have a little buff though, keeping you from losing skills until you get your stuff back. So that is an act of mercy from Odin himself. Okay, let's talk about the building system real quick. It's actually really fun and easy to use. Everything snaps into place fairly well, and really the only limit is going to be your imagination. I mean, you can build as big or small as you want to. Build a village, build a fortress, build a little hut. It's up to you, and it's going to look good no matter what. For some reason, everything you build in this game is going to look solid. It fits the Viking aesthetic, no problem. And what's interesting about this building system is that you actually need to build structural supports for your walls and ceilings so they don't collapse. And as you progress, you actually get more and more tools to make cooler bases. And like I said, building is quick and easy, but you can take your sweet time. I mean, I really enjoyed the building in this game. I would do it for hours just to get the perfect building that I envisioned in my head. Something I appreciate about this game is that it really makes you explore the world. Whenever you leave your base, you are gonna go on a journey and you never know what you might find. In total, there's 5 biomes: meadows, black forest, swamp, plains, and mountain, and each one has a unique look with different resources, difficulties, and enemies. In some of these biomes, there's also dungeons that you need to adventure through, and they're filled with enemies and treasures. They're dark, dangerous, damp, and claustrophobic, just like my bedroom, but they contain vital information about the location of bosses as well as precious resources. And when you go on these expeditions, you might be really far from your home base, so you have to set up a little outpost as a home away from home. Thankfully, as the game progresses, you get the ability to make portals so you can connect these bases together. But as a catch, you can't carry metals through the portals, so you still have to complete dangerous journeys to progress your character. This map is huge and it's kind of split into a bunch of islands, so if you want to get place to place, you gotta get on a boat and go across the ocean. And I gotta say, being on these boats, sailing the open ocean, really makes you feel like a Viking. And overall, the world is just very nice in this game. It's actually really relaxing for some reason. Even though, yes, it still looks like a PS1 game, it looks like a very good PS1 game with like modern day effects. The lighting is crazy good. It's dynamic. There's fog, there's weather, it rains, it snows. The skybox is beautiful. When you're out in the open ocean and it's starting to thunder and storm and the waves become crazy and there's lightning in the background, I'm like, wow, dude, I'm really here. I'm really in this storm on this boat. And there's always a banger soundtrack going on in the background. The Meadows theme, oh my gosh, it's on repeat all the time, but it's just beautiful. It's so relaxing, so calming. And then you go to the swamps or the black forest and it's really foreboding and it gets you on your toes. They just really know how to set the mood for all of these areas. As for playing this game either solo or co-op, I think both are great. I started solo because my friends were ahead of me. You can actually take your character from any world and put it on somebody else's world. So you get your skills, you get your items that you pick up. It's great. And being solo, it's not like the game is difficult. And it was actually really relaxing to be by myself. But co-op is great because you can work together to clear the dungeons and gather supplies for each other, and it can really speed some things up and allows you to be kind of safer while exploring and cover more ground. So like how I played with my friend, I was the one that liked to explore and go into dungeons and to collect the supplies, and he just liked to hang back and build the base and make everything organized. That really worked out well for us, and we really didn't feel like we were missing out on anything either. And that's all I really have to say about this game. It has surprised me in so many good ways, and for $20 that is a steal. I definitely highly recommend that you pick up this game if you're even remotely interested in it. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you have a good rest of your night or day, whichever. I appreciate you. Be safe. Thanks for watching. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. That really helps me out. Thank you, guys.